Huh. There's a box right here. I wonder where this box. Happy St. Patrick's Day to Kevin from your older brother John. Oh, that's so sweet. I can't wait to open this and to see. So stereotypical, but you know what? What the heck? No one's looking around. Make sure no one's looking around. Good. We'll put this on. Huh. I actually look pretty dapper right here. Yeah. I hope no one else sees me wearing this hat.
Branson.
Yeah. What?
So check it out. I always knew this about Kevin. See, if you look in here in his room, see, he's a freaking leprechaun. That explains the accent.
Oh my gosh. He's got gold.
Right?
Yeah. We gotta catch him.
I have this burlap sack.
Okay.
Do
you have a 4-leaf clover?
No.
We gotta have a 4-leaf clover.
Dude, just take the sack.
Okay.
Go. And
yeah, that looks really nice right there.
Gotcha.
What's wrong? Get off!
Get away!
What's going on?
Give me your gold, wee man.
You freaking idiots! What's wrong with you?
Ow.
What is wrong with you?
Ow!
Get your freaking hand off me! What was that? Why are you throwing the bag over me for?
A crackhead got the hold of the wrong stuff.
He's got the gold, man.
What gold? Do I look like a bloody leprechaun to you?
Yes. You know, because you're wearing the hat.
I hate you all.
So there is no gold. Is that the lesson?
No gold. No gold.
Oh,
What? Get away from me.
I'm sorry, John. I think we made a mistake.
I'm not convinced.
Prepare yourself to discover a world of terrible movies. High above the planet Geekery, a group of intrepid explorers hover over the dangerous planet in their fabulous super-orbital spacecraft. Their mission? To conduct a complete analysis of movies known throughout the universe as terrible. So grab your space popcorn, grab your freeze-dried ice cream, and join us for today's mission of discovery and wonder. Are these movies better than the galaxy thinks? Or do they really belong on the bottom shelf?
Hello, and welcome to The Bottom Shelf, the show where we watch critically terrible films so you don't have to. The Bottom Shelf is an extension of Geek Devotions, the show from devoted geeks who are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. So if you don't listen past this moment, know this: you are loved, you are cared for, and there is a plan for your life. That being said, my name is John, and with me today we have the Leprechaun, Kevin Burnham. What's up, wee man? Give me your gold.
I hate you.
I'm gonna get.
Hey, why couldn't the computer dance?
Excuse me.
Why couldn't the computer dance? It had no algorithm.
Kevin's a stand-up comedian now.
I just figured I'd give you a joke.
I wish I could have used that when
after you banged and hit me over the head with the bag.
Because I want me gold. All right, and then we also have Dallas Mora.
Hello. How's it going?
I'm not sure we can license that, Kevin. Don't get us struck down already. And then finally we have Branson.
Hello.
Nice, the music's made so loud. I wish that we could ditch this crowd.
Maybe it's better this way. We'd hurt each other with the things we want to say. We could have been so good together. We could have made this last forever. And now who's gonna dance with me? Please.
Bravo, I'm thoroughly impressed. I would never know all those lyrics to that song.
I just learned something about Branson, and I'm not sure how to process that.
That was probably playing on his wedding day or something. Probably
That was
the
part of
first
that
dance.
bounce that he had with Mandy.
That was what he was singing when he danced before her, like David danced before the ark.
Oh my goodness. Zack Snyder's favorite song to put in every film.
Are we cutting this, or is this going to be part of the podcast?
Oh, this is the show, homie.
Well, now the world will know I was not blessed with a singing voice. So.
Hey, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Maybe John could auto-tune you.
Nope.
Yes, there you go.
Nope. Anyway. Okay.
I'm sorry.
With that being said, Kevin, why don't you introduce the film that we are talking about today?
Yeah, that film that I picked up from the last time in the rubbish bin, Leprechaun. It's 1993 film, and it is, let me see, it's supposed to be a horror film. I mean, I guess it says that's what it is. It is written, directed by Mark Jones. It's produced by Jeffrey B. Malian. The film stars a woman that was from that show called Friends. I don't know anything about that. Has the late Irish actor Shay Duffin, an Ewok, and there's also an annoying little boy that I really couldn't stand. And also has Pee-wee's best friend, Mark Holton, and television actor John Sanderford.
All right.
Cool.
Now this is like your people's Braveheart, right?
No.
Like I figured you'd be like the excited
No.
one about this movie because it features your country's lore.
No, it only features one true Irish actor, and the rest is all pure American.
Who is the Irishman? So I can have an eye out for him.
There's an old man. His name is O'Grady.
Okay, we'll
That's
look
what it
for
says.
him.
And he's the only,
Okay.
true Irish actor inside of this.
Is he the leprechaun?
No, he's too tall to be a leprechaun.
So the leprechaun's not even Irish in the movie.
Oh, yeah, there is someone who's playing as a leprechaun.
The
the
movie's
Ewok.
called Leprechaun.
Warwick Davis.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Let me look at this tape you got here.
Yeah, here you
It
go.
says, warning, there are 7 of these movies. What? Each one more magical than the last.
Wow, 7.
Okay.
Does
Impressive.
Journey to be made.
okay?
I wonder if it gets worse like Star Wars.
Hey, now, shut your mouth.
Hey. Well, now,
No, Kevin.
To be fair,
No, Kevin, because that would suppose that the first 3 were good.
Oh, we got to fight now.
Okay.
Hey, let's talk about movie release
I got an
dates,
ejection button you
Sorry.
made over
Okay.
here, John.
I'm gonna force choke all of you. Watch it.
Go ahead. Hit that ejection button. See what happens.
I'm gonna lose another taco machine, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's not lose another taco.
Yeah, it's still on board. Let's just keep it that way.
Got a
Although
little frostbite.
now it seems to think that a hot dog is a taco. That hasn't been fixed yet.
We need to fix that function.
Yeah.
Branson, here's the tape. What do you think of it?
Let's see. He's always after your Lucky Charms.
No.
Was that
See
pretty
now?
authentic, Kevin?
Just read on.
Now, see, I still remember the commercial for that cereal though. Heart, stars, and horseshoes.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
Clovers and blue
Oh yeah,
ribbons, pots of
I
gold.
actually met that guy at the convention at Pensacon.
Oh, really?
You met the Lucky Charm dude?
Yes, he voices Daffy Duck.
Oh,
What?
He voices no Donald Duck. That's right, Donald Duck. I'm sorry. He
Donald
voices
Duck.
Donald Duck.
I'm even more confused now.
Yeah. He actually gave me a website I'll share with you about like voice acting and coaching if I was interested or anybody else that
Nice.
would know would be
Oh,
interested.
nice.
He didn't offer you a job to play the
And,
Lucky Charm guy?
he said that to me, and I started talking to him. He was like, "Wait, are you really Irish?" And I was like, "Yes, I really am." I wish like God I remember the name. I'll just put in the production notes. But when I met him, and he's like, "Oh man, am I like your national like symbol or something?" It's like, "No, you're not." I forgot to tell you that. Yeah.
If he's listening to this podcast, thank you, sir, for that conversation with Kevin, because that made the podcast. I'm done. We don't have to do anything else today. That's the best
Good night,
score.
kids. All right, there's a one here. Another following a theme now all of a sudden. This film will make you eat a box of Lucky Charms.
Oh, I don't have any.
So Kevin,
are you okay?
What? There's a lot of Lucky Charms on this advertising.
Do you have?
I'm not saying I have a Lucky Charms shirt, and that was because it was given to me on St. Patrick's Day by a friend, and I'll wear it every once in a while just for the fun of it, or as we would say, the crack of it.
Oh gosh.
But
let's see your last one. Warning: you thought Ewoks were bad. What? Look, I know for a fact we have a regular fan, and she will fight you about Ewoks. She loved the Ewok movie.
I like the Ewok movie too. Why? What's wrong with
A lot of people don't like the Ewok movies.
What's wrong with it? It has Ewoks in it.
Hey.
I wasn't talking to you, John. What's wrong with it?
Don't care. So, Ewoks were completely a commercial creation to sell the movie to kids. Same thing with Jar Jar Binks.
To be
Ewoks
fair,
is far better than Jar Jar Binks.
I still submit that Jar Jar Binks
more
is
cuddly.
a secret Sith Lord.
Yes.
Concurred.
I
All right. So, what are our expectations for the movie, guys?
I remember when this movie came out in the 90s. I'm that old. For those of you who are listening, we're recording this the day before my 40th birthday. So, yeah.
This is your birthday song. It isn't very long.
Cool. So that was the thing. This is quickly turning into the singing episode. But I remember when this movie came out, and for whatever reason, the previews scared me. No idea why.
Mm-hmm.
Because now that I'm more well versed in horror films, I mean, not so much. But yeah, so I'm expecting to, I don't know. I guess going into it, I'm not really expecting to enjoy it because of the reputation it has now. But I mean, that was my memory of when it initially came out. So it initially struck me as scary, but as I've gotten older, I just
it's interesting you say that, because I had the similar experience. Like, I have a memory of watching the trailer, like the TV spot, and there's a scene where he's in shadow and he holds up his hand and this green light shoots out of his finger, and I remember that was like nightmare fuel for me. Like, that bothered me to see that. And then one of my friends who actually saw it, my parents didn't let me watch scary movies as a kid, but one of my friends who did see it said that at some point he jumps on a pogo stick and jumps on a guy, and that image combined with what I remember of the trailer, I remember thinking, yeah, I don't want to see this because I don't want to be scared. Yeah. So.
I think weren't you and I about like 9 or 10 when that movie came out, Branson?
Yeah, we were probably like 4th, 5th grade, something like that.
Yeah, so I could say I have never seen this movie, any of the Leprechauns. In fact, the only thing I have in my head is I feel like this may be a fever dream. I saw a preview of a Leprechaun in space. I don't know if that's one of the movies.
4.
Is that number 4?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reference I have for this movie at all. So I'm going in this blind. Like, I know it was a horror movie, but I mean, it's the 90s. I mean,
yeah, that was number 4. That was not me that you attacked me just earlier.
That's what that was.
Kevin,
I was having. Is number 4 your life story, Kevin?
Hey, Kevin, can you make green light come from your fingers?
No,
I can make this happen with Photoshop.
I do have a green lightsaber though. For me, I've never seen the trailers and the previews on this. When I saw it on the television, it was on was HBO Max or something like that, just always advertising. And I remembered seeing something, like you said, something about a pogo stick, and it freaked me out. It reminded me a lot like the Killer Clowns from Outer Space, where you take something that you enjoy of a folklore or of a whatever, and then turn it into a horror. So I never had any attempt to actually watch it. My parents did rented this movie on VHS, and I remember they brought it, and I guess they watched it, and every time when I came out, say, "Go back to bed, stop, go back to bed." And then finally, when they went to sleep, I saw it, open it, I put inside a VHS, and the first 2 minutes, I was like, nope, just rewind, put it back inside a case, and threw it back on top of the VHS to be returned the next day.
There you go. That's
all I remember.
What I know about this movie, or do we want to wait until after we watch this before I start going into the tech of it?
Let's give us some tech before we go into it.
Yeah, sure. I want to know. I'm curious.
So this movie, not using the notes that Kevin gave me because they weren't as accurate. Its actual budget to make this movie was only $900,000.
Oh,
Wow, that's dirt cheap.
And in its opening weekend in the U.S. and Canada alone, it made $2,493,020.
wow.
Wow.
Wow, that's a lot better than movies that's
Did pretty
premiering
good
today.
Yeah.
And
Why
then,
is this on our show?
That's a good question.
And then
on
its in its total run, it made $8,556,940 worldwide gross. So with that said, the reason why it's on the show is because on the Metacritics, it only I don't have the Metacritic in front
I
of
think
me.
critics hated this film. I know I read something from
like the IMDb.
Roger Ebert and that guy with the big mustache who always beginning in the morning show. They just trashed this movie.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
The IMDb rating, which is typically user scores are higher than critic scores.
Mm-hmm.
The IMDb rating on it is only 4.8 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
That is low.
So Metacritic has set to 17.
Yeah, so that should say
this is lower than Playing Life from Outer Space, and you give me a little slack for that.
Because that movie was trash.
You're trash.
I want to remind you of the airplane made out of construction paper.
You could do anything with imagination.
Or the general who is leading the war against the aliens in a white-walled room as he was using his binoculars to look up at the sky.
It costs expensive to just film outside, okay?
Oh,
nature.
There was imagination used in the film. They imagined they had a script.
They just want all the people to imagine that it's a good movie.
And that was Plan 9. Go check out the first episode of Geek Devotion of The Bottom Shelf.
According to Warwick Davis, this movie was originally planned as a straightforward horror film, but Davis was actually the one who wanted to bring the comedic elements to it. So Mark Jones agreed with this tonal shift, and they shot it as a horror comedy. Several scenes had to be reshot after the producers insisted that the film be made gorier to appeal to an older audience.
So this would be like the Evil Dead type. Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 2. And
yeah, Evil Dead 2 like probably if we're doing comedy.
I guess. I don't...
Is it like Shaun of the Dead?
So this is supposed to be a funny film?
I guess.
Well, Shaun of the Dead was more comedy than horror.
I did laugh.
George Lucas received a special thanks credit because Warwick Davis was actually under contract to him.
Oh.
And he gave Davis permission to appear in the movie. And of course, the most commonly known...
What a sweet man.
The most commonly known piece of trivia about this movie is that this is Jennifer Aniston's feature film debut.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which just enforces the fact that most actors make their debut in the horror genre. I'm looking at you, Kevin Bacon.
That's why her nose looks bigger.
Kevin Burnham. I was like, Kevin's doing a horror movie?
What?
Like, I know he's about to be Hollywood and everything, but I didn't know that.
And this is an interesting thing to look out for. Warwick Davis appears in the cafe scene without his leprechaun makeup, sitting beside his wife.
Really?
Oh.
Yep.
It was so small I couldn't see them.
And then for my last piece of trivia that I'm going to throw out here, Vice President Dan Quayle also received a special thanks credit.
What?
Because his office sped up the working visa for British actor Warwick Davis.
Oh. That's interesting.
When properly motivated, the government can get things done.
So all that,
just throwing enough money to the side.
All right.
So with that said, let's go ahead and you guys ready to watch this movie?
Let's roll.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's pop this trash inside and see how much more we can get out.
All right, I got my bag of crisps here, and my bottle.
Can I have some?
Can I
have some crisps?
My bottle of Gat. And
hey, I'm glad you remembered.
hey, you know, my brain remembers everything that doesn't benefit me in life, so that's how it works.
John, I'm going to sit next to you in case I get scared.
Don't, because I have to use the bathroom.
Oh, okay.
You might be in the splash zone. That's all I'm saying.
Let's just go watch this movie.
Dear listeners, this is your opportunity to escape. Our crew has just entered into the media projection chamber. What horrors and madness that they consume are unknown. Their mental state upon their return is unknown. You have been warned.
Well, that was Kevin. Kevin, did that make you nostalgic?
Do you feel like you're at home, Kevin?
No, I do not feel any closer to home than I am.
Did it take you back to the Emerald Isle?
Well, this was not filmed in Ireland, so no, it doesn't takes us back to somewhat Midwestern countries.
I think
bunker thing.
I think I want some potatoes.
I think I was offended by him. I'm not even Irish.
I think the old couple at the beginning of the movie was more Irish than the leprechaun.
You really?
Them's the rules.
Let me, before we get too deep into it, let me read the back of the box for people to have an idea of what we just experienced. Let me see this. A horrific leprechaun goes on a rampage after
horrific is subjective. Just
it is subjective. After his precious bag of gold coins is stolen.
It's me gold.
He uses all of his magical destructive powers to trick, terrorize, and kill anyone who is unlucky enough to hinder his relentless search. In a frantic attempt to survive the wrath of the leprechaun, Tori and her friends, who don't live in an apartment in New York, scramble to find the only weapon known to kill the Irish monster, a four-leaf clover. However, until they discover the four-leaf clover or return all the gold taken from the Rainbow End, their fairy tale nightmare has only just begun.
We've only just begun.
That is the biggest leprechaun I've ever saw in my life.
How many do you hang out with?
Well, I'm just saying, like, when you do it to like Irish folklore, a leprechaun is a little bit taller than the size of a mushroom.
Okay,
they're little people, so they're like that. That's how big they are. What'd you say, Branson?
There is a classic Disney movie called Darby O'Gill and
the Little People.
That's the idea of a leprechaun I had when I entered this movie. They did not do that. They did not even get close to doing that.
I said horror. Okay, John just told us that it was a horror.
That was pathetic. I got bored. I wish I could go back in time to my fourth grade self and say, "Dude, seriously, don't be afraid of the leprechaun. You could kick him in the knees and you'd be fine."
I guess this is our spoiler-free conversation time.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're going into it. Tell us, Branson, your spoiler-free review. So it wasn't scary.
Okay. It was not scary. It wasn't funny. I got bored with it. I like it. Even the parts that I knew were supposed to be scary were not scary. And they were predictable. I was like, oh, yeah, that's going to happen. Oh, look, it happened. Oh, we're going to reference this later because they're taking way too much time to talk about it. Oh, look, we referenced it later. It was just, it failed at being a horror film or a comedy. It was not even, sometimes you could laugh at how bad a movie is. That's what makes it comedic. I couldn't even do that. I couldn't even laugh at how bad it was. It was just, is it over yet? Is it over yet? Is it over yet? When John went to use the bathroom, I wanted to go with him, but I thought it would be weird.
You could have sat on my lap.
And see, now you made it weird. Good job.
Yep, you did. You did.
And yet that is still more entertaining than what I just watched.
This movie's only 93 minutes.
Oh my gosh, seriously?
Yeah.
It felt longer.
It felt way longer.
I guess it kind of did, yeah. It did feel a bit longer.
Kevin's got this grin on his face like he's waiting to bombard us with something.
I'm just waiting to hear everybody else before I say something.
It's just got my subconscious going, when Irish eyes are smiling.
Shut up. I hate that song. I hate that song.
Oh my gosh.
Every time when you're in Dublin and Temple Bar, that song plays nonstop for the tourists. I'm like, oh my goodness, please stop. Or the tourist pheasants in court.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, for my spoiler-free review thoughts, it felt like the 90s. Like this was if you were to go,
Oh, most definitely.
if you were to go, hey, let's do a 90s Irish film, this would come up.
Yeah.
First off, it would be
This is
culturally
American film.
inappropriate.
This is not.
It'd be culturally inappropriate because 90s. It would be awkwardly like the 90s, early 90s had a sheen, like where it was like right when they were getting like really crisp, clean images, but they didn't know how to shoot with it quite yet. And so there was this weird, like almost like I'm watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show, feel to it the entire time. The comedy felt like that. Even the comedy felt like Buffy. Was there anybody who worked with Buffy the Vampire Slayer that was in this, that was part of the production?
Never saw it.
You never saw the show?
Nope.
Nope.
Oh, okay, sweet. Well, I'm the only heathen here then. But anyways, I also watched the movie. We need to put the movie in the bottom shelf. That's probably the bottom of that dumpster
movie.
somewhere.
No, dude. I think that got reviewed well. I think that's.
Oh,
I
really?
can't see why it would be in the dumpster.
There's a lot of films we've talked about. I'm not sure why we're in the dumpster. Anyways, but this is so 90s. Like this film is just purely a 90s film. There was the jokes were, well, they're 90s. I mean, they were just flat popcorn movie, probably targeting young 20s individuals. Like I know that one of you guys said that was supposed to, like, they made it gorier to appeal to older audience, but it felt like this was really targeting, like, I'd say older teenagers, young 20s.
Oh, definitely. This felt like a completely teenager / early 20s type person to watch.
To reel it back real quick here, just to correct myself, so we don't get a raging Kevin after the after this episode airs. I will correct myself. Buffy the Vampire Slayer has a Metascore of 48 and a IMDb user rating of 5.7 out of 10.
So it qualifies.
Oh, so it qualifies.
Yep. So I'll also say this: the Leprechaun costume, ridiculous, but the prosthetics on the Leprechaun, I was actually impressed with. Like there were times where, like, wow, that's legitimately creepy. Now they could have done some more stuff with the lighting to make it better, but it was legitimately a creepy looking costume, and I think the actor did a decent job of playing the creep side of things.
Also using the fingers from Battlefield Earth.
Yeah, same, maybe the same glove.
I thought the costume looked a little bit too Munchkin.
Munchkin?
Like Munchkin, like from Wizard of Oz. Like I kept expecting him because of his leggings were like this bright purple color.
Mm-hmm.
Like the top looked leprechaun-y, but I kept expecting him to go, "We represent the lollipop guild, the lollipop," and so the purple and white stockings were a little off-putting for me. I agree with you. The face was scary, and the claw-like hands that
in the
that
teeth. My dude needs a dentist.
Yes,
like next level. Like when you got black stuff growing on your teeth, there's a problem. Like it may be some denture time.
Yeah.
So my thoughts on this movie, I kept staring at Warwick Davis and thinking about the movie Willow.
He was in that, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was Willow.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh my God, I just blew Branson's mind. I didn't know you didn't know that.
I kept thinking in the back of my head that, like, his voice sounds familiar. That's what it is. He's the Willow.
I wanted Val Kilmer to come out and take him on an adventure. It's just... So, I mean, honestly, I spent the whole movie thinking, like, dude, that's Willow. Why is Willow killing people? Like, Warwick Davis's presence in this movie took me out of this movie. Really, is what it came down to. I personally think that Vern Troyer would have been a better actor for this, for that part, but that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
Again, he probably
he would be more.
What's that?
He'll be closer to the Leprechaun height than Warwick Davis.
But I bet he would have had just as effective of a Irish accent as Warwick Davis did.
Well, to have an Irish accent, all you have to do is replace my with me, and you're automatically Irish.
And that's all he did.
Oh my lord!
I will put this up. I feel like that's spoiler free. The accent,
It is.
the fact that it never existed. Like there was like 2 scenes where it was like, oh, that's kind of Irishy, and then it was like, never mind, like never mind at all. Like this dude couldn't decide what he was.
Okay,
As I was listening, I knew he was complete Brit all the way through, but he kept saying, "And look at me coat, in me bucka, in me hat, in me hood, in me." It's like everything's me. It's like, okay, you know what? Take it back a couple steps, because from me being in Ireland, and if you're in, depending on what part, me just says a bit often, but not that much. He like overused and overkilled it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh my gosh, if you could say this one more time.
It's like exactly. It's like they deliberately wrote the script to find as many reasons for him to say me as possible, because that is the only possible way they can make him sound Irish.
It was almost like
And
he
they
was
didn't know
like,
any Irish phrases.
it was almost like he grew up like, this is the stereotype. Let me just play into this. Like, I wonder how many
Right.
Irish people like at the time watched it and they were like, we're coming after you.
I think they busted up laughing. It was like, man, this is so pathetic and stupid that you can't find it, but funny.
so a little off topic, but I've watched on YouTube. There's a channel on YouTube called the Try Channel, which is a bunch of Irish people who try things, and you get their initial reactions on whatever they're trying. But there is there was one episode they did where it was Irish people watch people do Irish accents, and they were genuinely getting irritated with some of the accents that people were doing. And like me being a stupid American, I'm like listening to it. I'm like, yeah, it sounds legit to me. And they're like, oh, that's rubbish. And I'm like, okay, apparently I can't hear the earmarks of a genuine Irish accent versus a terrible one.
Which should tell you something if we're like that and we still think the Leprechaun's accent was terrible. We don't even know what a good one sounds like, and we know it's crap.
Exactly. All right. Kevin, what are your spoiler-free thoughts?
My spoiler-free thoughts is this is not horror. I mean, it says horror just because you throw blood around and you have like an eyeball pop out or so forth. I guess that's why someone may consider it a horror film. It was too silly. It was way too silly.
It was really silly.
And not in a funny way.
I know I was probably the only one laughing, because I was laughing of how silly and how naive and stupid this film really was. And then I guess I was laughing at myself for laughing how stupid this was. I had some fun watching this, but it was just, again, it was like those stupid moments. There was loads of stupid moments that I just couldn't stop laughing from. I was like, why? And I would say, yes, this film did went on longer than it should have. It should have been like maybe 70 minutes. Or they should have put more into the story, because there was a lot of back and forth. Like, oh my gosh, we're going back to this scene again? Why are we doing this? Just move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they ran out of a certain idea, like midway through, or even like towards the end. They were just running out of ideas. Like, okay, you know what is all these comedy skits that you had written up or thought of us? So, there was like cartoony. When I say cartoony, it's like when you see the shape of a leprechaun going through a fence and you see it as like that. I just bust. I was like, this is Looney Tunes. This is not a horror film. This is Looney Tunes.
The group consistently made the wrong decision. I think that's why the plot
most definitely.
Like they were the stereotype of horror movie idiots.
Yes.
Okay.
They were.
Branson, as the resident horror film aficionado here, I can tell you that what you just said there is the typical 90s horror. No, let me back that up and re-qualify that. It's the typical 90s pre-Scream horror trope. I have to say pre-Scream, because Scream is when movies became self-aware and started trying to mix up the formula. But prior to the movie Scream, which I believe came out in 96, the horror trope was you just, throw in a bunch of dumb teenagers, have them make the wrong decision every time, and every time they make a wrong decision, it leads to an addition to the body count. rinse, wash, repeat until there's only one person left, and then end the movie.
Yeah, I can. That's
This film reminded me of a blend of Critters and Evil Dead 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was getting like Tremors vibes from it.
I could have listed off a bunch of trauma films.
Yeah, Tremors too. Yeah, well, yeah, definitely a trauma film.
Puppet Master came, and when I watched, Puppet Master came to mind when this movie was being played. Critters again, Ghoulies. If anybody remembers the Ghoulies,
Yeah, I remember Ghoulies.
Basically those
Troll 2.
Yeah. So I mean, it was pretty much just standard fare for the day.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
Now this film was made in 1993, and it holds a cell phone. Is this like the first time we've seen, or early times we see a cell phone?
I think so.
Inside of a film, because she doesn't call it a cell phone; she calls it a portable.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, that is very old style. Like, who would say portable in the movie? And I'm looking at 93. I'm looking at when cell phones were actually made more known.
Yeah, that would have been the Nokia.
That brick that just wouldn't die.
The phone that's indestructible.
Yeah.
But the battery dies in this one, so it led to the first early trope of horror films, because that's always in a horror film. My battery died on a cell phone. I can't call for help. So I was like, oh, this is the first time I've seen a cell phone. What are you looking up?
The first time a cell phone or a portable was seen in film was the 8000X portable phone in 16 candles in 1984.
Oh,
wow!
So it was probably a bag phone. I remember the
probably.
8000X.
I have to see that movie. I haven't seen it yet.
No, it's just the big brick phone. It's kind of like it's real
yeah,
similar to the one
so.
that Home Dude had in Saved by the Bell.
I only remember certain episodes. Are you talking about the Shriek? I can't remember.
All right.
Anyhow, with this movie, there was parts that was funny. I wanted to talk a bit more about. I guess that would be the spoiler part.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
There's certain scenes that happen, and I was thinking, like, why is this happening? Why are you doing this? Why is he doing this? Why is anything happening in this film?
Well, on that note, John, have you given your spoiler-free thoughts?
Yeah, I dipped into it. I didn't have a whole lot to say spoiler-free.
Right. Let's spoil this, because I want to see Kevin get angry.
Of course, everybody loves to see me angry.
I just feel like this is the film
We're
where
just
you
after
can
your
unleash-
Lucky Charms, Kevin.
We're trying to distract. We're gonna throw shoes in a minute.
We good to go?
Yeah,
let's do it.
All right.
I was listening to the sound. I didn't hear the sound, because usually it'd be like Celeste, like.
Ladies and gentlemen, the spoiler section.
I always feel like I should be holding a scotch in one hand whenever that bumper plays.
All right. Well, it's the spoiler section, guys, and this is where it gets rowdy on the ship. Taco Machine is secure right now, so hopefully it'll get jettisoned out in somebody's blind rage. But let's get into it, guys.
I am not a leprechaun.
I'm not convinced.
Well, you're more leprechaun.
I'm not
than
going to try to convince you.
Leprechaun.
I'm sure if I actually said this, but for to the audience who cares that this film is rated R, why it's rated R, it has 3 uses of a strong language and mild language. There's no sex or nudity, and there's loads of scenes with Carol syrup that's red. So for those who are curious, and it's not even really blood. I mean, I could tell. I mean, anybody could tell if you even never watched a gory film. You look at it, it's like, that doesn't even look like blood. That just looks like Carol syrup dipped in red and just thrown everywhere.
Yeah, totally.
I genuinely do not understand how this leprechaun is 600 years old, because he gets his butt kicked so many times in this movie. I mean, seriously, everyone he kills. Yeah, like okay. Reference the pogo stick scene earlier. I said I heard about it and it made me all frightened. Dude bit the guy's kneecap, and then he's laying on the ground rolling around, and the leprechaun has all the time in the world to walk over, get a pogo stick, and then make his way over. I'm like, dude, at any point, there was a guy that had his leg trapped in a bear trap, and he got up and walked around. But a bite on the kneecap, It reminded me of that scene in Austin Powers where the guy's in front of the steamroller truck and he has like all the time in the world to get out of the way, but he just stands there and gets plowed over. That's what that was. He's too busy rolling around on the floor, upset that his knee got bit, to get up and kick the leprechaun literally out the window. I mean,
well, yeah, he was upset because everybody knows if you get bit by an Irishman, you become Irish.
Terrible, Sean.
That is truly horrible.
Wait a second. Kevin bit me earlier. Does that mean I'm going to start using me instead of my?
If it gets green, it's infected. It's not Leprechaun bursting out.
I'm not getting the power of the leprechaun. That's not what's happening.
No, you're not. That's not
the power of the
3-leaf or 4-leaf clovers.
Oh gosh.
So we don't even have to talk about this the whole story plot by plot really much because
there isn't one.
I mean, you kind of like already said it on the VHS. It's like and you can tell how 90s is because when it's in the back of the VHS and it basically tells you everything, it's like, okay, might as well tell me the end too while you're at it.
Let me break the plots down, the plot down for you. Guy in the beginning who is pretty much not related to any of the rest of the film, who is also happens to be the most Irish person in the film.
Because he is the Irish one. He's the only Irish actor.
They're like, hurry up. We need to take the authenticity out.
Right.
He apparently is coming back from Ireland for reasons unknown.
Was he coming back? I thought she said that you were supposed to bury your mother, not ship her off to Ireland.
Yeah, that's the one thing I did remember. Is like, it's common. You go over, you go to the wake and everything else, come back, and he brings his mom's ashes inside and like shatters it, and it's like, hey, look, it's gold, and so forth. Somehow the leprechaun fits in the suitcase. I'm like, that's a heavy thing to carry, and you don't notice.
Why did he bring the leprechaun back with him?
He didn't mean to. It snuck on. But I digress. I'm trying to make a point here. Guy steals leprechaun's gold, no longer in the movie. He has a stroke, his wife dies. 10 years later, American people buy the house. As they're fixing it up, they release the leprechaun. Out in the woods, a kid and Lenny from Of Mice and Men find the leprechaun's gold. Lenny swallows the leprechaun's gold. Leprechaun goes looking for his gold, runs around town, kills a guy with the pogo stick, comes back home, and Jennifer Aniston gives the leprechaun his gold back, minus the one piece. He chases them around the house a few times until he determines he needs to cut Lenny open, and then they make him swallow a 4-leaf clover. He falls down a well that wasn't really there for the whole movie, but suddenly is. Comes back up. He comes back up as Anakin Skywalker from the third film. Says, "I want me gold." They blow him up with a hand grenade, and then
no, that was gasoline.
Oh, that's right. And then the movie ends.
Brother Maynard, bring out the holy hand grenade.
The Bounty-Ock.
I mean, really, like I said, pre-Scream 1980s and 1990s movies were only there for the kill scenes and the over-the-top filmography. The depth of their content can be measured in millimeters.
Yeah,
I mean, real talk. You go to look at the later installments of the Friday the 13th franchise. I mean, it's not that much more terrifying than this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially when you start to get to movies like Jason Takes Manhattan.
Wait, what?
The Friday the 13th.
Oh, that's right. There's only about like 20 of those movies.
I think the only one I ever saw was Jason versus Freddy.
Freddy versus Jason?
Yeah, that's the only one I saw of that franchise.
Yeah, that was
never saw
meh. Better than some, worse than most.
I guess the only of those slashers I've ever seen, other than Psycho, is I don't consider Psycho a slasher, but
it's the original
Halloween 2. Yeah, Halloween 2 is the only.
Now, when you say Halloween 2, are you talking about the OG Halloween?
The original.
Okay.
The originals, yeah. I don't watch any of those crappy films by Rob Zombie.
I had to ask because they're out there and I needed the clarification.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Yeah.
So, but back to the movie at hand, that was in the entire movie. I mean, the majority of this movie is group goes into the house, comes up with a crappy plan.
Yep.
They go outside of the house. They get attacked by the leprechaun.
They go back,
into the
Back in the house.
And repeat until they've reached the obligatory 90-minute marker, then they end the movie.
Right.
Like, it is a major plot point that the truck won't start. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the dad's Jeep also parked in front of the house the whole time?
The entire time.
So if the truck doesn't start, we know the truck doesn't start because the kids got to mess with a distributor cap every time they need the truck to start.
Oh.
Why did we not take the Jeep?
Oh, let's talk about that. Let us talk about that.
The Jeep is opened, okay? Who wants to spend that much money on fuel when you can take a truck and it's closed in?
That distributor cap.
Yeah, that totally destroys everything.
That distributor cap. Okay, I don't know if you guys had an automobile upbringing like I did, but I've driven a lot of crappy vehicles in my life. I had to work hard to get to the point to drive a vehicle as new as the one I currently have does.
Right.
So I've worked on vehicles. When they popped the hood and showed that kid with the distributor cap, I was offended. I was offended.
Why?
Because all he did was go over there, put his hand on it, and made it look like he was wiggle. All he did was wiggle, and I'm doing the air quotes. This distributor cap. First of all, it would, if you watch it, it's sort of like if you put your hand on a tabletop and you move your hand around. It's not the tabletop that's moving. It's just the skin on the base of your hand that's moving around.
Right.
That distributor cap was firm. That child did nothing to that distributor cap. And on top of that, that distributor cap was clean. I mean, it was a brand new distributor cap. I'm looking at that and going, there is nothing wrong with that distributor cap. They did not care about details when it came to this. Like, they should have had the spark plug wires coming off of it looking all gnarly and stripped, and that distributor cap should have had like a hole in it or something, and the kid should have actually pulled a wire off and put it back on. Any of that, and it would have seemed more realistic than, oh, Jesus touched this distributor cap and tell it to take its mat and walk.
Right.
No, I am
all those wires and everything inside that car, that was from a previous Roger Corman film that was already destroyed. So just get all these wires and parts, just throw inside the hood of this vehicle, and let's make it look like it's destroyed.
I am offended by that distributor cap. That's all I'm saying.
I'm glad that's the only thing that offends you in this film.
On the subject,
and not like him going around with roller skates chasing people.
On the subject of vehicles,
or this tricycle.
How is a go-kart able to knock over a truck?
Thank you. I was so confused by that. Like, he hit that sucker so hard. Like, what did you do?
Leprechaun magic,
thing?
bro. That's
Leprechaun magic. What else do you expect? He put a pitchfork. He went Mad Max on it.
Idle talk, bro.
He went Mad Max on it. He went Mad Max on it. He did something. I was like, what is happening?
Here's the thing. What you're seeing Kevin go through right now is the reason why people saw horror films in the early 90s and late 80s. They enjoyed them for that particular reason. They just so stupid over the top.
Oh my goodness. It's like one thing after another. It's like, hey, what's the next stupid idea? Anyone ever died from a bobo stick? No, but it sounds fascinating. Tell me more.
And that's it. That is the joy of early 90s, late 80s horror. And so many times I've said on this podcast, you have to watch the movies with the right mentality. I'm not buying that. Or as Dallas says in other podcasts that he does, you got to have the context or you're going to be conned by the text.
True story.
And,
yes.
And so if you watch the movie within the proper context, you're going to find more enjoyment in it than if you're looking for like an exorcist. This movie was not trying to be an Exorcist, which is not a great horror film. It's a great film that happened to be horror.
Yeah.
This was neither. This was, hey, let's do some stupid crap and see if it makes money.
They did some stupid crap.
Like the law officer who is in the middle of the woods and he hears the leprechaun sneaking around the trees and he thinks, I know, I'm going to take the one weapon that I have, this nightstick, and I'm going to throw it into the darkness.
I'm
and
like, what are you doing, man?
Maybe,
what are you doing, Igmo?
and then when I think I've finally escaped him, I'm going to find some random tree and lean up against it and breathe a sigh of relief, because surely throwing the nightstick took care of the demonic leprechaun.
I needed an excuse to do an overtop kill. That's what it was. It's like, man, these trees are so predictable. We've already seen this. We already seen this in Omen style. What's the next thing? Gun? Nah. Let's get a nightstick. Yeah, there we go.
What about the fact that like my dude's just shooting like I get it's dark. You're just blind shooting your shotgun into a tree.
Yes.
Like, I'm like, dude, like, what are you shooting at even?
Okay, does anybody here own a shotgun? Does anybody here own a shotgun?
I do.
Okay, me and Kevin both own a shotgun. Kevin, how many? He used the word rounds, and that just drove me up the wall too. But improper vernacular aside, how many shells does your shotgun take?
2.
Mine does 4, and that's pushing.
It's a double barrel shotgun.
My dude was like just pumping out shot after shot.
I have a pump action 12 gauge. Mine will do 4 with one in the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
Homeboy, I watched him reload once, and when he reloaded, he only stuck 2 shells into it.
Right.
I'm pretty certain he pumped out at least 20 shells.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was going Sylvester Stallone on this.
I'm watching this and I'm like, where is his clip? Where is this magazine that is supposed to affix to the shotgun? Because I guarantee you that should not be happening. That is not a thing.
This is okay. I'm going to do what you do. This is the 90s. He has pockets everywhere. Okay, he has pockets on his sleeves, pockets in his front. He has pockets on the side. He has as many pockets as Jennifer Aniston did in this movie with her shorts.
This was done by Rob Lowe, and
and you know, there was something that we did not discuss that was a guest star in this movie, or at least I think it was a guest star because of how much screen time they got. It was Jennifer Aniston's butt.
Oh my gosh!
So
much fan service.
I mean, it's like he's like, hey, this will sell for the kids. They know what they want. They want to see Jennifer Aniston's butt. And the camera was always on there when she's running away. It's like, don't show the guys when they run away. Show her when she's running away from whatever.
It
was
how many fan service, to say the least.
Yeah,
I'm watching this.
It's like we can't have the sexuality nudity, okay? Because we might get too much of an R and backlash. But we'll just make sure we'll point this along with her fake paint that she had over herself in that fake Kevin Bacon. Just like, here's just stop paint on your arms.
Wait. This movie has turkey bacon in it.
I'm not the only comedian.
Can we just point out for a second?
Ozzy is the dumbest person in this movie.
What's that?
I hate how dumb they made Ozzy in this movie.
Oh, you're talking about Lenny of Mice and Men.
Well, yeah, I know.
They've got rabbits, George.
Whatever his name was.
They've got the rabbits, George.
Oh man, that's
take him home and love him.
But yeah, how I hated how they did a mental handicapped person. It was like, oh, we'll get a bunch of money, we'll make him smart. I'm like, what kid thinks this way? What kid thinks like this?
Well, he later said he didn't think like that.
Right.
I think the little boy was the mental handicap one, not Ozzy.
That's terrible.
Honestly, I think he was probably just trying to get the gold so he could get his teeth fixed. I'm sorry, but that kid could open a can without a can opener.
Oh my gosh.
Can we just point out that an old drunk Irishman on the verge of a stroke was more effective at kidnapping a leprechaun than an entire group of people armed with a shotgun?
To be fair, he was Irish. That being said, the implication is that he actually understood the lore and thus
Oh,
proving once again that information and knowledge is power.
Yeah, and 4-leaf clovers only grow on the Irishman's land in front of them because he knew exactly the spot because the green line was pointing directly at where the 4-leaf clovers were at.
Behind the well that magically appeared on the property.
Yeah, that just magically disappears and appears.
and there must be something about that.
It's like
there must be something about that.
And
Irish,
for some reason, it was growing on the AstroTurf.
But there must be something about the Irish will to live because he was able to be shoved through an elevator roof and hang on just long enough
to pass off the information.
I want to know
to pass on the information.
I wish they had shown that. They showed everything else. I wish they just shown Warwick Davis just knocking him over and just smashing him right to the top of the shaft. Like, again, I know it's a low budget, so I know they couldn't afford so much, but the first scene that just made me bust up laughing was when they did the pogo stick. I know we keep going back to it, but that was the first one. I knew this was already silly, but when that pogo stick happened, I was like, okay, I threw my hands up here. I was like, that's it. This is a comedy. There's nothing horror about it.
Right.
This is pure comedy. It's pure fun. And watching him just go through all these scenarios, like this is a Looney Tunes cartoon that's made for adults.
Yeah.
Honestly, if there's anybody out there who is listening to this show and they want recommendations for good horror comedy that does well on both sides, shoot us a message on the face space. I'll respond to you. I've got movies.
Yeah, I do too. I'll tell them.
Both.
I mean, you already know what my favorite is.
Oh,
my favorite is like Evil Dead 2. I could watch that all the time.
See, my favorite is Severance.
I've never heard of that.
Oh, Kevin.
That and Shaun of the Dead, but Shaun of the Dead is more comedy than horror, but still kind of horror.
Kevin,
it's the end.
Kevin, you need to watch the movie Severance.
Okay.
You watch it and get back to me. You'll thank me.
Okay. I'm just saying. I laughed so much in this movie. It's reminded me so much of Roger Corman films, William Castle films. This is like the William Castle and Roger Corman of the 90s. I laughed so much at this. I don't know how any person, whoever ever watched this, could take this one thing serious or think it's even horror.
Oh.
Now, I'm curious what the others are like, but everyone, I think even you told me, is like, no, it just gets worse and worse, and it's no longer funny.
I've like I said, I've never seen these movies. I'm just based off the reviews. Yes, they get worse and worse. But I'm gonna put it to you like this: when movies like this get a bad review, it's because they're being held up as legitimate movies.
Oh, I understand.
If you watch this movie with the understanding that this is a bad movie, you're gonna enjoy it a lot more.
I think it already shows it's bad within the first 10 minutes. It's like, hey, this is bad. It's like,
well, and that's just it. But there's a reason why they ended up making 7, 8 of them.
8.
Because they just put out a new one. I know. Yeah. So my count.
Yeah.
I have.
And apparently
just came
the
out?
last
Really?
one is now the true direct sequel to this one.
Oh, is it?
From what I was told. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, 2019.
Oh,
They-
It
wow.
was released.
Sci-Fi Channel made one.
Huh.
I have
Okay.
7 of them because in prepping for this movie, I bought the
Oh wow.
I bought the box set because
That's some dedication.
Right.
no, it's the collector in me. To out of character at the moment here. I went looking for the movie and it was only a couple bucks more to get the whole set rather than just the one. So I'm just like, well,
Oh, I've never seen it by itself. I've always seen it with like, it's always a multi-pack, sort of like a lot of the other horror films, like they always sold into multi-packs.
yeah. So I was just like, in for a penny, in for a pound, I guess.
So question, do you own all 4 of the Karate Kid movies?
Nope, I don't own any of the Karate Kid movies, and there's 5 Karate Kid movies, sir.
Okay, 5, whatever.
I do have all 4 Evil Dead movies, though.
Okay. Do you have all of the Indiana Jones movies?
I do.
All the Star Wars movies?
No. Episode 7 was enough for me to give up on the franchise.
But you're a completionist. You gotta complete it.
You know, and that is something that's nagging in the back of my head, but I can't. My will to not waste money hoping that the franchise will go back to what I remember it being. I mean, I would be equally justified as investing in a wishing well.
I've seen Dallas with his movies. He completes a lot of things.
I do.
Certain things.
I do.
Yeah.
Celeste and I, we have a thing that we're like, we'll pick a franchise and we'll power through it together. That's how we relax though. And there's just certain things I'm like, how the crap do we get here? Like we watched the entirety of Fast and Furious because we're trying to figure out how we went from street racers to space. And somehow it made sense. Somehow it made sense.
Why is space the answer for everything?
Okay. There is a horror film. There's a horror film trope where once the franchise goes to space, the series is over. So that's that when you said that they went to space, I'm like, does that mean that the series is done now?
I hope so.
Because
even though I enjoyed it.
Because Jason went to space in Jason X.
Right.
And that ended the original run of the Friday the 13th movies. The Leprechaun went to space in Leprechaun 4. That ended that run of the Leprechaun movies, and then they rebooted it with the Leprechaun in the Hood movies.
Back to the hood. This kind of tells you where I live at in Jacksonville, because when those movies came out, those were the highest rented and sold ones.
That's funny.
Yeah.
The part of Jacksonville I live at, and I'm like, what is with this movie? And people come, man, it's so funny, you've got to see it. So I'm like, that's a negative right there.
That's a negative, Ghost Rider.
Well, do we have any more spoiler-free conversations?
What do you mean spoiler-free? This is
our spoiler conversation.
Does Jennifer Aniston still acts the same? I felt she did. Like I was looking at her, it's like she looks like she acts the same exact like she did when she was younger.
Yeah,
I didn't.
The only thing that took me off was like how big her nose was before. It's like, yeah, I can see that nose operation going pretty well with her money.
So insensitive, Kevin.
Yeah, that's how I am.
Oh my goodness!
I want to give Lenny some bubble gum, like off Pee Wee, just to watch his mouth get black.
Oh my gosh!
Well, on that note, kids, what do you say we go to the weak connection section?
Are we doing that? Or are we giving our rating? Or are we gonna wait?
Oh yeah, we got ratings.
We've ranted, but nobody. That's the point. Is to put this on a rating shelf.
Okay, there's one last thing. The last scene where they end the Leprechaun, I thought that was a great way to end it.
It was very
when he shoots the four leaf clover.
I laughed so hard at that.
Oh, but you got to remember, because it's the 90s, he had to say a catchphrase before he shot it.
Yes, he did.
Granted, we can't say it on the show,
right?
Oh yeah, but it's like that Die Hard scenes, like
the yippee ki yay, yeah.
Yippee ki yay! It's like, here you go. Your life is over,
dude. I saw a made-for-TV version of Die Hard 2.
Oh yeah.
And when they got to the yippee ki yay scene at the end of that, Bruce, they literally had him say "Yippee ki yay, Mr. Falcon."
What? Oh, TV censoring.
There was something I remember I seen, and I think someone else did it. But instead of that, they said feather plucker. I'm like, feather plucker? Who does that? I busted my gut. I can't remember where I saw it, but it said that. And I'm like, who comes up with this? They just had to think of anything to say.
And to get back to the whole talking about Shaun of the Dead thing, back when in-flight movies were an entire cabin thing instead of a screen in the back of the seat in front of you.
Right.
There was an airline that featured Shaun of the Dead where they edited the F word out to say funk.
Oh.
So it was funking and funk all over the place.
Wow.
They should have played that music. Play that funky music, white boy. Funky music, right?
I like that song.
I don't. That song's so overplayed here. I can't stand it.
I like the Apologetics remix.
All right.
Song.
That's a pretty good one.
I've heard a lot of Apologetics, but those guys are like Stephen King. They come out with something new like every other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into our ratings.
All right.
All right. So we'll start with you, John. How do you rate it?
All right. So, like I said, I appreciated this movie in the way that I would appreciate most movies from most horror films from this time period. I walked in with the understanding that this was not going to be a good movie. This was not going to be an Exorcist. This was not going to be a poltergeist. I walked in expecting catchphrases and really stupid kill scenes and over the top idiocy. And this movie did not fail to provide me with everything I expected. Would I recommend this movie to everybody and say it's something that I think everybody should see? No. There's some people who don't do horror. Although I will say it was a movie that I did have somebody who does not watch horror, looking at you, Branson, watch, and they seem to enjoy it. So it could be what I would call a gateway movie into the genre.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's not something that I would say that somebody who's not mildly interested in should go out and watch. So I would put it on the middle shelf.
Fair. Branson?
Okay. I can understand how, if going back to what John said, if you're a fan of this style of movie, you walk into it knowing what to expect, there are things to enjoy about it. I walked into it based on my experience as a kid, expecting to be scared. In that regard, I was let down. I was not scared at all. I could see why this movie would have like a cult following, people who are just fans of movies because they're just fans of the movies. Definitely not one I'd keep in my collection. Not one that I think a lot of people would be into. So I'm going to put it on bottom shelf. I could see why some people would like it, but I think its rating is warranted. I think it's a bottom shelf movie.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to save Kevin for last. So I went into this, and I'm not a big horror person either. Although I do watch probably more intense things than I think Branson. I'm not quite where John is. I'm not where Branson's at. So I'm kind of in the middle with certain things. This movie is so 90s. Like it feels like the 90s. It is the 90s. And there's a bit of nostalgia for me for that kind of film. And so I've after watching it, I legitimately want to see more, and I don't know why. Like I want to see the second, and like this may be something that's less than I talked about watching more of. Not understanding it's not good. Like this is not a good film. I don't recommend this for a majority of people. If you want a stupid film to watch, yeah, I'm putting this on the middle shelf.
My man,
it's
Dallas,
on the middle shelf for me.
When I come down in April, I'll bring the box set. We can hang.
Like it is. I watched it on like out of character. I watched it on Tubi, and I was legitimately annoyed with the commercials. Although I think the commercials helped me to break up the ignorance of it, because I went, okay, let me go get a sandwich real quick. So yeah, middle shelf for me. So Mr. Burnham.
When I watch a film, first thing is I want to be entertained.
Okay.
I don't care if it's bad or good. I just want to be entertained.
Mm-hmm.
This film did entertain me.
Oh.
This film made me laugh so freaking much. It needed to be retitled. It should have been just a comedy or a comedy/horror if you want to.
Right.
Gave me, like I said earlier, it gave me that Roger Corman, William Castle feels, which if anybody who really knows me knows those are my favorite films.
Mm-hmm.
I love Vincent Price movies. I love the Christopher Lee movies. Christopher Lee's more horror, not too much comedy, but he did some.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter Lorre and stuff like that. The great late Dick Miller. Love all those movies they played in. And I laughed, like I said, I laughed at myself for laughing at myself for how stupid it was. Yes, it does get repetitive and boring towards that like middle section and so forth. When they go to the hospital, then they go back, then they go to the retirement home, then they go back to the house, and they go outside. It's like, okay, this is getting a little too repetitive. I understand they're trying to push the movie length. They didn't had to. They still could have kept it, I think, 80 minutes and still would have passed as a theater.
Yeah.
I'm surprised how well it did for the budget, but then again, I guess it just entertained so many people. I am going to, because I like this movie. I should have liked this movie.
Say it.
I'm gonna put this top shelf.
What?
Top shelf.
What?
No, I'm kidding you. I wanted to see your minds blown for a second.
I just had an O'Grady stroke.
That was lovely. See?
I just had an O'Grady stroke.
See, he's a leprechaun. He tried to kill you, O'Grady.
Put a bag over is it? Throw a
See, that's what I'm
shoe.
talking about.
Where's that burlap sack? I want my gold.
I just took. I just took a bit of surprise right there. See, that's how I like it. I had no preconception or nothing, so I'm just gonna put this in the middle shelf.
All right.
I'm seriously putting it in the middle shelf.
Wow.
I didn't think I was. I kept saying like, "This is bottom shelf. This is bottom shelf. This is bottom shelf." And as I'm watching, I'm just laughing like, "Okay, this is." Because I will bring this movie out more than once. I'm not saying I'm going to watch this movie like 3 times a year, maybe twice a year, just to show someone else, or once a year. And I don't know who else is going to be listening. I know it's not going to be available on Tubi anymore because it's expiring in 2 days, just in time for St. Patrick's Day, so people can pay the rent and so forth. But you can
Exactly
find
what it is.
If you want to find it, and this would be a great movie to watch with others, and just what I would call have crack with it, which is mean like that's an Irish word for having loads of fun and joking about and so forth.
Right.
It's like it's just I had a lot of more fun than I expected.
I want to say it is on Amazon Prime. I want to say it's on Prime right now.
Okay, yeah, you can rent it then. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you have Prime already, you don't have to rent it.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So awesome. So this is a disputed middle shelf, everybody.
And I don't put things on middle shelf. I like to throw things in the trash.
This is true. This is true. So we have a consensus that that Kevin is involved with. Someone needs to write this day down on the calendar. And because holy cow, Kevin did not hate a movie that Dallas and I both liked. Everybody, let's have an ovation for the resident Leprechaun.
You guys are too kind. I'm sorry, Mr. Hank Harville, that I didn't think of too many things to rant on. I was just laughing too much.
It's Leprechaun magic.
I'm gonna eat some cereal.
Sit down and eat some Lucky Charm cereals, those cereal bars. Those things are actually kind of delicious, though.
Magical.
Lucky Charm cereal bars. Full of sugar. More sugar than ice cream.
With that, let's have Matt sing us over to the weak connections, all right?
This is a weak connection.
Big fan of Matt. He really shines through on that bumper every time.
He's talented.
And he never listens to the show to hear my high praise.
Has no idea what happens on the show. It's outside what I tell him.
He's like, I don't watch movies.
Oh, but he does. He doesn't listen to podcasts.
Oh, really? Okay.
I came from a Pentecostal church where you could lose ministry if you watched movies or TV. So.
Oh, that hurts me on the inside.
Yep, I was part of that too.
I was not. So, in fact, I won't get into that. All right, this is a weak connection time for you, ladies and gentlemen. So, this is where we draw some weak connections. They're designed to encourage you and inspire you and help you maybe change your mindset in life a little bit. So my weak connection for this film derives from the fact that something the Leprechaun said on the front end when he's talking to O'Grady, and he goes, I sold my soul for me gold, and that's what leads him to this obsession. That's what leads him to all this junk that he's got going on. And to me, it just perfectly lines up with the conversation that of a verse that is taken out of context more times than I care to see. And that is the proper way is the love of money is the root of all evil. Of course, a lot of people like to take out a word and say the love of money and then try to make a deal out about it. And that's stupid. But it's the love of money. When you idolize money, and it's not just money, the context of that particular passage is, it's when we idolize anything more than God, than what he has for us, it becomes a problem. It becomes the root of all evil. So having money is not a bad thing, but when it's your main goal, when it consumes your life and it's more important than anything else around you, that's problematic. There's another passage in the scriptures that say, what is good for a man to gain the whole world, but to lose his soul? And, nothing wrong with being successful, to having things, to have materials. Kevin has a wall of movies behind him at all times. John has some amazing electronic equipment. Branson's got some amazing art stuff. I got different things. We got things that we love. However, this is not our world. And if we idolize these things, that becomes a problem. It becomes a root of evil in our lives. And the challenge and the encouragement is that we need to examine ourselves. Is there something that we've idolized, that we've put up, that is standing in our way from what's really important? What's important is for us as Christians is service to God, service to what he has for us. Underneath that, our family, taking care of our family. And then below that, everything else. And so that's just kind of what's been banging around my head is like, man, have I sold my soul for me gold? Or or not? And if I have, I really need to lay some stuff down and reevaluate what's really important in life, because these materialistic things aren't important. They're good to have. They're not bad. And anybody who tells you that having stuff is terrible, they're an idiot. And you can tell them to call me if they have questions about that. But it does not need to consume your life. So that's my weak connection. What about
Branson,
the rest of you guys?
do you have anything?
I do, actually. A scene in the movie where they realize that the 4-leaf clover is like the secret weapon to take out the leprechaun, and they're looking in the astroturf clover patch next to the mysteriously appearing well. But there's a part
Why is
where
it lit up, by the way? Why is that area lit up?
because it's the magic of the leprechaun.
Because people believe everything in Ireland is green, including their urine.
There you go.
The teleporting well.
Yeah. But they're sitting there looking for the clover, and they can't find it, and Tori's having a meltdown, and Ozzy says, "You just gotta believe, you just gotta believe." And she says, okay, I believe. And then all of a sudden, a clover appears in her hand. And that reminds me of the verse Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Basically the idea that faith steps in as evidence for things that we can't explain. At some point, you just have to have faith. Because if you could explain everything, there would be no need for faith. If everything was sitting there right in front of you, if everything about God could be understood and proven, there would be no need for faith. It would just be rote information. There has to be a point where you have to believe because you believe. And I saw that illustrated in the movie. She found the 4-leaf clover because she believed it was there, not because she had evidence pointing to the fact that it should be there. And I think as Christians, we have to do the same thing. At some point, God's going to say, I need you to believe me because you believe me, not because I've offered all this evidence, not because I've spelled it out for you, not because I've written it in the sky, but because I am who I am, and I've told you to believe me, and you've just got to believe me. A childlike faith. And I think that's why I didn't have such a problem with Ozzy's character, because I felt like he represented that childlike faith. He bought into the whole leprechaun thing from the get-go.
Right.
And so it almost gave him an edge on everything because he was already believing there was a leprechaun. So there's that childlike faith, that belief of because God said so it is. Why? Well, because God said so. And I think there's something that's something that we as Christians have to keep in mind as we work out our faith.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have anything. While I was watching the movie on me television, on me sofa, in me house, while I was looking through me Bible, and I couldn't find me verse to do a me
shining your gold
thing,
knuckles on your shoes.
I cracked up so much hearing that.
So before I dive into what I have, Kevin, there was something I was meaning to ask you in the last segment. Is the whole compulsion to shine shoes, is that actual part of the Leprechaun lore?
I don't know where that came from. I've never heard of that.
I've heard that
must have been something Walt Disney must have came up with it.
I've heard that leprechauns were cobblers, but not like that. Like this guy was like OCD.
Yeah, I mean, I again, there's so much not folklore at all towards Ireland and its mythology of leprechauns that was not in this movie.
I want to point out
they just made up a whole bunch of things, and it's like, we saw a Walt Disney movie. Let's just make a horror version of those little people. And it's like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's do it.
So real talk, Celeste and I did start watching Leprechaun 2, and the obsession with how dirty people's shoes are carries over into that movie.
Awesome. All right. I had to let everybody else go because my weak connection actually uses 2 Bible verses, and I wanted to make sure nobody else was using it, both of them, in the event that I was stepping on someone else's. So
I'm glad you mentioned about the shoes because I forgot that part. But that part, I just crying. It's like,
Kevin,
are you
Kevin,
serious?
Shh, it's Bible time
okay.
now. It's
okay.
It's time for Jesus. I am so sorry, dude. That was so demeaning. I apologize. But I'm going Old Testament with my my weak connection. Starting with Ecclesiastes 5:10, which says, "Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless." And then Psalm 37:16 through 17, which is, "Better the little that the righteous have than the wealth of many wicked. For the power of the wicked will be broken, but the Lord upholds the righteous." And as Dallas had said, the love of money is the root of many evils. And this kind of mirrors that in an Old Testament sense, in that, if you love money, you're never going to have enough of it. And you're going to end up putting your faith in what your money can do for you, and your ability through that money. But at the end of your life, that power is going to be broken. Whereas if you put your faith in God through the righteousness that we have through Jesus Christ, you will be upheld. The Lord will provide for you. And, that's kind of been the story of my life with my finances for a long period of time, until after I came back from college, and was able to have a better job, but God has consistently provided for me for my life. And I don't cherish money in that I put it on a podium. I look at it as only a tool to accomplish things in life. And if I'm in a time of being lean, that's fine. That's where God wants me. And if I'm in a time of plenty, I want to be generous with it and use it as a tool to bring glory to God.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would encourage people to consider that lifestyle. As we can see in this movie, if you spend your whole entire life chasing money, you will choke on a 4-leaf clover and get burnt up in a teleporting well.
Dig it. I can testify that you are very generous. All you gentlemen have been generous, and that you guys don't value money over things. And I appreciate you guys. For me personally, all three of you guys have blessed me in one way or another. So I'm just going to put that out there.
That's because it's all that gold I brought back from Ireland.
Oh, yeah. Kevin's got it stashed away somewhere, guys.
That's because he's
Don't worry, I'll be coming back and getting it back from everyone.
I told you guys, I'm not convinced he's not a leprechaun. I'm gonna be hanging out in his room. I found his box. I found his box of Lucky Charms. And
if any of you guys ever put a bag over my head like that again, I will snap your neck. I will learn karate, because I'm right now on self-defense mode. Like, I need to start learning karate next time you throw a bag over my head like that.
What are you, the Irish Club
Van Damme? Prepared. I'm gonna I got a couple of his VHSs. I'm gonna start learning real quick.
What VHS
that way
you got?
Someone comes right behind me and do that.
What VHS you got? Did it come out of that dumpster?
Yes, possibly. I also got Billy Blanks. Okay, I got him on DVD. So try me next time. Come right behind me.
Speaking of next,
I love the hat, John, but I am not going to wear this hat anymore if that's what you guys going to be doing to me.
It's fine. It's fine. I've got me own ideas.
Good.
I'm scared what he's going to do when he looks into our team Facebook chat.
Yeah, but I concur with all of you about the money situation, because you can't love your possessions and your money over Christ, because they don't just derive your point away from Holy Spirit and more towards your own works of what you have done and acquired.
Word. Good stuff.
All right. Well, Dallas, why don't you go ahead and does anybody else have anything else to say before the end of the show? All right, Dallas, why don't you go ahead and land this ship for us then?
Absolutely. So real quick before we do, Kevin, do you want to tell us what we are watching next week or in our next outing?
I'll tell you what we're watching, because I'm preparing myself, okay? And that's Fatal Deviation. Have any of you heard of it?
Did you say Fatal Attraction?
No, Fatal Deviation.
Oh.
There's no lake crossing in this movie.
Sir, that was Basic Instinct.
Okay, whatever. They all sound pretty much like... Oh, this is Michael Day. That's a Michael Douglas one, isn't it? I can't remember. Anyways, this one, since I don't know if any of you heard, this is a true movie from Ireland, not Leprechaun.
Wait, are you talking about Fatal Affair?
No.
Fatal Instinct?
Don't know what that is. Nope.
Fatal Fury.
Nope. Fatal Deviation. This movie is called Ireland's worst movie ever made.
Kevin.
As we talked about Plan 9 and Battlefield Earth, a couple of those that said that they were the worst films here in the States, this movie is the worst film ever made in Ireland. It's a cult film back home.
Kevin, I'm looking at some of the production photos of this movie. Are you sure you're not just having us rewatch Velocipaster?
Oh, I'm 100% sure.
Oof.
I think Velocipaster had a higher budget than this one.
All right.
Oh, no.
Well, join us next time, kids, as we watch something that we're not sure we're going to enjoy, but we hope you enjoy us suffering through it. If you'd like to get a hold of us,
For you.
hey, make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Just look for The Bottom Shelf. Hopefully, we're going to be on Google soon where you can find our subscription stuff. Find our podcast on an easier basis.
What? Google's going to like us?
Maybe. We're working on it. We're courting her. She's looking for some gold. We threw you her way. So, anyways, Branson, where can people get a hold of you?
If you want to get a hold of me for all things comic books, especially the faith-based, family-friendly variety, you can send it to branson.boykin@gmail.com, or you can message us through Geek Devotion social media.
Fantastic. Mr. Kevin, how can people get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me by not throwing a sack over your head.
He says me head. He said me head. We have it on recording.
We heard it. It is. Leprechaun
If you wish
confirmed.
to. I am also on Facebook, and you could do me a grand, huge favor and follow and like, because I'm only 10 away from a full 900.
Wow.
So that's cool for me.
Yeah.
Just, if you wish to. If you don't want to, that's fine.
And what are they looking
can't
for?
judge you for that.
The Dapper
Be
Man.
Dapper Man.
The Dapper
Put Dapper Man reviews, you might find it better. But you'll see my symbol with a nice cap and tie.
Nice. Looking all dapper.
And if you wish to watch my videos, if you want to see how I truly look in front of a camera, you can do that on YouTube. And if you don't want to hear my voice, because I can understand no one wants to hear my voice, you can read my reviews on Letterboxd.
Nice.
Kevin, I could listen to you read the phone book. It's
Thanks, mate.
Oh, Grady. 555 555.
Oh my goodness.
John, where can people find you?
okay. All right. I am. You can't find my personal stuff because no. But outside of that, you can find my other podcast information. You got Playing Games with Strangers, The Bottom Shelf. You have the Geek Devotion podcast, Com Talk, which me and Steve McDonald from Strangers and Aliens do a music review podcast whenever time allows. And I am starting a new podcast soon with Celeste and Squid from
Allegedly.
Playing Games with Strangers. Allegedly, We Read is what it's called. I am missing one. Oh,
wait. I'm sorry. What'd you said? We read?
It's called We Read, allegedly.
Okay.
And then I'm also playing Nick Foster on the Supersonic Pod Comics in the section called The Randoms. And you can also find my band on Facebook. We are called Mezzanine. If you are in the Spokane, Coeur d'Alene area of the U.S., we will be playing at Cruisers on March 3rd. So come check us out. It's going to be amazing. And if you want to meet me in real life, I will be. As well as a good portion of the rest of the Playing Games with Strangers team, will be at GeekCon in August in Shreveport. Yes. So we're not going to actually, as far as I know, we're not going to be at a table. I don't know. There's discussions on multiple fronts. But we definitely will be there in person, so you can come and catch us in the crowd and say hi. That would be fun for us, and we will sign your player's handbook there. I will be getting a tattoo in Shreveport as well, so come see my new tattoo and slap it. Don't slap it. I will murder you.
I won't be there because I don't play games with strangers.
You're going to be there. Shut up. You already said you're going to be there.
Anyways, if you guys want to have John's phone number, it's 8675-309. Once again, that's 8675-309. You can text him, call him, or do whatever you wish.
Except if you're going to use that number, you need to use my professional name, which is Jenny.
with that, we're going to sign off. Thanks for hanging out with us at the bottom shelf. Again, we here at the bottom shelf has rated Leprechaun from 1993. Middle shelf production. So until next time, guys, stay devoted. Peace.
Love and peace.
Peace and love.
Wait, not peace and love. Both. Yes, both.